All right, welcome to the Krug Show. Tuesday morning, Sam Batesh is in the house. What are the Niners going to do about Nick Bosa, Russell Wilson, bench for Jaxson Dart? We look around the league. We talk some NFL on a Tuesday. Sammy's here. Let's go. Off and rolling on a Tuesday on the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. Get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. This 49er football season is presented by Sleeper. We'll talk more about them in a bit. And Habbas Law is a big sponsor of the Krug Show as well. We'll talk to you about Habbas Law before we get out of here. And we're just coming back from New Orleans after week 2, and we were sent there by our good friends at Claw Daddy Arcades, and they're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. Sammy, how are you?
Well, look, Larry, I was so excited, and you and I have really walked ourselves up to this point of the season in everything we did in the preseason. We looked at the Niners schedule, and we sort of had, we love to do the win-loss game. We look at the schedule, and here they are, 3-0, and I'm thinking everything's going well. And as we're sustaining injuries on the offensive side of the ball for all the Niner fans, of all the things that could have happened with the big thumbs down on Sunday that became an even bigger thumbs down on Monday, only superseded by news coming out of New York at the quarterback position, but I know we're going to get into both. I'm sort of wrecked at the idea that, I'm sorry, but I had it as the Niners are back. This Mac Jones 3-0 with Brock only playing one game, it was just setting up so nicely because you and I dissected the schedule, and it was just, as the script was playing out, sustaining Jennings being there or not, sustaining Kittle being out, sustaining Brock being out, sustaining the idea that Ayuk's not going to come back until week 6. Everything's okay. Can we hold it together? The rookies are looking good. Upton Stout makes an incredible play. Like, everything is okay despite all of the drama from training camp. And lo and behold, of all the things that we wouldn't have thought. Oh, by the way, McCaffrey sets a record offensively, right? The league's never seen what McCaffrey's done through 3 games. And then this, a leveling shot. For once, I want to remind everybody here, we're going to get into Russell Wilson and Jaxson Dart, but I'm going to remind everybody one thing. Larry's going to talk me off the ledge for how devastating this is. All right. All of you thought that Larry's panic meter was going to hit an all-time high here, but he's going to talk me off the ledge on how devastating the Nick Bosa thing is. We'll get into that in a little bit.
No doubt. Today is the day after. Yesterday was the official announcement that Bosa torn ACL, done for the year. Today, the story emerges that the Niners are open to edge rush trade additions, according to Kyle Shanahan. This on the heels of Zadarius Smith going to Philly, Jadeveon Clowney going to the Cowboys, Preston Smith going to the Commanders. They've all signed with new teams early in the year, taking them off the market. So we will talk about why I don't think the Bosa thing is a death sentence for the 49ers and some of the potential options for the 49ers, either in the trade market, the practice squad market. We'll get into some of that. But we open with the biggest story of the day in the NFL, and that is that the Giants are benching Russell Wilson for Jaxson Dart. How long would it take was the only question coming out of preseason. It seemed like Jaxson Dart had a great preseason. Russell Wilson, it's almost it's kind of ironic. It's like what comes around goes around. Russell Wilson got his opportunity kind of the way that he's losing his opportunity. He got an opportunity when he beat out Matt Flynn, who was signed as a free agent.
Remember that contract?
Only to prove that contract was a bad contract right out of the chute. And now the Giants probably feel like the contract they gave Russell Wilson was not a good contract, because Jaxson Dart will be taking over. Head coach Brian Daboll is on the hot seat. He's probably done at the end of the year. His whole future in New York is tied, and maybe the future of Joe Shane is tied to Jaxson Dart, and New York is sitting at 0-3. The 3-0 Chargers are up next, so they're staring at probably 0-4. And the Chargers are good on defense. They rank 4th in the NFL in points allowed, 8th in total defense. So they're going to Jaxson Dart. They're going to the rookie from Ole Miss, and they're sitting Russell Wilson. What do you think?
All right, let's set this up for Giants fans. Now, admittedly, I'm an Eagles fan. Right here off the camera is the Eagles Super Bowl championship hat from LAX, from New Orleans, which we will get into what you and Kevin did in New Orleans at some point on or off the air. I'm excited about that. But yes, an Eagles fan. I just want to set this scenario up. I know we're going to talk about big surprises in the league as well. Could the offensive player of the year in back-to-back seasons be Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones? Could that be the most unbelievable, stunning assessment of what has happened in the front office in New York if those two guys end up leading other teams to special places that they've never been? That's incredible. And what a shot in the arm for the Giants, who are now moving on from yet another quarterback after signing Daniel Jones, letting him start 3-0 for the Colts after watching Saquon Barkley win the Super Bowl, set the record for most yards ever rushing in the league all time, and the offensive player of the year, while they now watch Tyrone Tracy go down. And of course, maybe the future is Cam Scatteroo. That's nice. But the future will not be Russell Wilson. Do you remember, Larry, we went over quarterback rooms. What was our favorite quarterback room when we ultimately laid it out? We thought the most options were in New York. You had Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jaxson Dart, Tommy DeVito was even there at that time. We were a little bit excited for what was going on here. Obviously, Cleveland's was the most talked about, but this was an interesting quarterback room. Can I spin this for the Giants fans a little bit?
Sure.
None of this matters if Jaxson Dart is good, if he's ready, if he's gotten a little something from watching Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston at practice, if he's weaned anything, and if he's ready to go, and if they can win out of the next 14 games, what would be a positive here? If he starts every game, what would be considered great for Jaxson Dart over the course of 14 games here as the rest of the season plays out? 6-8 would be, I think, amazing for a rookie coming into this spot. And I'm sure if you look at their schedule, that looks nearly impossible at the moment, but this is okay. What was the point of having Russell Wilson at this point go out? Had they beaten the Cowboys, that game that's the turning point in the season. The turning point is ultimately Russell Wilson's best game. They lost. So that tells you, it's like, where's the hope? Forget about Russell Wilson's worst game, which we just saw on Sunday night. His best game was still a loss for this team. And much like in college football, you start to look at your opponents differently each week based on when they play other teams. So the Cowboys are an excellent opponent in week 2, right? Now they get slaughtered by the Bears, and all of a sudden that close game with the Cowboys looks like no big deal. The Cowboys aren't a great opponent. And now the Giants in Russell Wilson's best game have lost that as well. So what's the upside in going to Russ? Maybe the only guy who's scratching his head is Jameis Winston, who's saying, what about me? Aren't I supposed to really be, what wasn't I initially brought in as the backup here? And he's kind of the guy that's now waiting for something to happen to Jaxson Dart. I like it. And I'm sure Giants fans sitting here at how the season has gone so far are saying, we're fine with this. This is what you want. You draft this guy. And remember how much on draft day, Larry, we spoke the day after the draft, and we loved that the Giants traded back into the first round, superseded the Rams, got ahead of the Rams to get Jaxson Dart. Remember, Sean McVay wanted Jaxson Dart. That is for sure, because the minute the Giants came back and got Dart, the Rams said, forget it. We don't want a first round pick. They traded out into the second round. So that was a big move by Shane, by Dable. They identified a guy. They wanted to go after it. They came back into the round and they got him. And Abdul Carter is also, this could be the future. This could be the future. Carter and Dart, you might as well start it now.
I think this is a lot about Malik Neighbors, to be honest. I think Malik Neighbors is not happy. They threw him 7 balls this week. He had 2 catches for 13 yards. It wasn't clicking between him and Russell. Russell, the Giants are 0-3. He threw 2 picks. He finished 18 of 32 for 160 yards against Kansas City. There was chance in MetLife of
winnable game at halftime. Winnable game at halftime, by the way, right? Winnable game at halftime.
This is they need they need to make sure that Malik Neighbors is happy, and they need to feed him the ball. I think part of the success is making sure that he gets the ball. and also that they score more points. I mean, 9 points against Kansas City's defense at home. That's a big part of it. So, I mean, I don't think the Giants are going anywhere, but it's amazing. I mean, I thought nobody has ever been more damaged by their appearance on Hard Knocks than the New York Giants.
There won't be a team agreeing to that again ever, right? I mean, let's say this much, Larry. I mean,
they're going to temper the access way down. They were the off-season Hard
which
Knocks.
Was cool. Larry, look, you've been there, right? Larry, that offseason, was that your favorite Hard Knocks? Although you've also been close to guys getting cut, but the offseason one you must have loved.
I loved it because it really, it showed the inner workings of the Giants. Like, it showed Wellington Mara saying, man, I would really hate to lose Saquon.
It was incredible.
Period. And then to lose him to Philly. And it's like, and then, their obvious desire to force the Daniel Jones thing to work. And then it didn't work, and now they're moving on, and now he's playing well. And it's like, also, like, there was 2 things in there. One, you had Shane telling Saquon that they weren't
coming back to us.
They weren't coming, basically playing contract games. So Shane looks like a minor league joker.
It was terrible.
And then nobody looks worse than Dable, who literally was running up to Shane with his stupid phone, going, dude, look at the stats on this guy. Look, I mean, it's like, dude, do you have the 9th pick in the KMBR Fantasy Football League? I mean, what the hell? I thought you're supposed to be an NFL head coach. You're running to the general manager with stats that you're pulling off your phone. Are we supposed to really believe? Is that a peek inside the New York Giants personnel process?
The war room. Yeah.
I mean, your head coach is just gathering stats off his phone and going, hey, look at this. We got to have this guy in free agency. Look where this guy ranks. And it's like, Jesus, that's your process? Everybody's like their own wolf and doing their own scouting on their phone from their desk. I mean, right then I was like, oh, the Giants are cooked. Giants are absolutely cooked. And these guys are cooked. I mean, Dable and Shane are probably going to get canned at some point.
Well, it was a big surprise when they brought him back, Larry. It was a big surprise. I mean, there was an announcement made that they were not fired, essentially, right? There was like a press conference to say, hey, guys, we should be firing you today, but we decided to bring you back. That's really what the announcement was in New York. Everyone expects us to fire these 2 idiots, and instead we're bringing them back. Look, Dable think about this. Dable had Daniel Jones beating the Vikings in a playoff game where the Vikings were the 2 seed, I believe, in that season. And then, of course, they got smashed by the Eagles in the divisional round the year that the Eagles lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That was essentially the upside of what was happening. And that's what you're banking on with Dable into the future, doing more with less. But through this season, there have been winnable games already for the Giants, and they haven't done it. The Dart thing is the right move. This is the most interesting thing that can happen if you're a Giants fan. The best news in the world would be that Jaxson Dart is the guy that Daniel Jones wasn't. But the other part of it is, the Daniel Jones part is interesting here, Larry, and I want to talk to you about this because you've been a part of organizations in this way. Was Daniel Jones capable of this in New York, and they fucked it up with what was around him? Because nobody thinks, this guy didn't go to Kansas City and do this, right? I mean, Indianapolis has been middling. We can say that, right? It's not, I mean, Steichen's been good, and the Anthony Richardson thing has clearly handcuffed them, but it's not as if Indianapolis is a home run slotting anybody in here. And Daniel Jones is an MVP candidate right now. Right now, if you ended it today, he's getting votes. He's in the finalists. He's at NFL honors for the MVP award. Maybe he doesn't accept it, but he's in the voting. And that was never the case in New York. So is Daniel Jones a different guy right now? Or did the Giants completely sabotage what his career could have been early on? That's what you got to ask. And that's what Jaxson Dart has to be asking himself. Because this is essentially a lot of the same people involved. And that's got to be terrifying.
By the way, as we're sitting here, I don't know if you saw this.
I think I did. This could be big Eagles news, by the way. I mean, I'm sure the Niners want it also, but
Texans have released safety CJ Gardner Johnson. Did you see that?
I just did. I only because of the comments here. I'm seeing it. I mean, my phone I've got on silent so it doesn't ring again as it already has. But
wow, that is a big one. Now, this guy is a gigantic pain in the butt.
That's so okay. Can we just
But
wait? I
he
want
is
you to put a
also a
period. I want you to put a
tremendous
period on
player.
that sentence though, because that's what that story tells me. Now we don't know, and we'll find out what really went down here. And obviously the Texans have been having an awful season, although defensively they haven't been having an awful season. This tells me CJ Gardner Johnson is more difficult than it's worth. Because if the Eagles have decided that,
There's some Charles Haley here.
well, and again, this is two teams. By the way, these are teams that are familiar with him. Texans are familiar with this guy, and so are the Eagles, and they've both moved on. That's odd, and the Eagles moved on from him twice.
But when they,
No, they're better with it. They were in the Super Bowl with him.
They won with him. They lost without him. They got him back. They won again. The Lions had him in between. They went to the NFC Championship game. He had a hell of a rivalry going with Debo at one point. But I mean, this guy is a great player. And, it's funny. The Niners have been going with this big nickel with Jair Brown as the linebacker. And I was thinking about this formation or this alignment, the 3 safety alignment. CJ Gardner Johnson would be an absolute monster in that alignment because he is just an unbelievable athlete, cover guy, hitter. If you played him in a big nickel type of situation where he could almost just hit like a linebacker and have a speed advantage on everybody he defends, I would go sign this guy. I just think this is one of the difference making players in the league.
Yes. Now he's going to get you. Look, he's going to give up 15 yards 3 times a season. 3 times. I'm not going to say 15 times, but 3 times a year he's going to give away 15 yards with something stupid that he does after a whistle. But let's look at this, Larry. Number one, let's say a Niners perspective. Okay. The Bosa thing is going to hurt you on getting to the quarterback. And if Gardner Johnson is available at a discount, he's obviously not replacing Bosa in a way that he's going after the quarterback. But now, considering quarterbacks are going to maybe have more time, if your secondary is making a difference where your defensive line is not, that can also bridge that gap. So Gardner Johnson is a huge piece for the Niners to look at. But number 2, Gardner Johnson has spent time in Houston telling everybody that he's going to get back at the Eagles because he's going to be with Houston now and he's going to show the world, right? And yet,
what better way to get back at the Eagles and go with the Niners?
Yes, and look at what's happening. What a dreadful beginning the Texans have had. Not to mention the meltdown they had on Monday Night Football against Baker Mayfield, which was that one, those plays were on the defense, even though offensively the Texans have been god-awful. But Gardner Johnson is obviously trying to get back to a winner. He thought he was going to one in Houston. They're not out of it. In that division, anything's possible with Houston. But right now, nobody's saying Houston's headed to the Super Bowl. And that's what Gardner Johnson wanted to be, was the difference for them to get to a championship game. And that doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. You're absolutely right, Niners. Or does he tell himself, Bosa's gone, tail between his legs, goes for a discount back to the Eagles? Does he see the Eagles as his path to glory? And maybe he goes back and apologizes and says whatever he needs to there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no connection with CJ and the Niners. He never played for the Niners. He's played for Houston, Philly, Detroit, and New Orleans. I believe the Niners took Mitch Wishnowsky like a 1 pick in front of him. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I remember at the time thinking, God, you're taking a punter, and a guy like this is sitting there at safety corner. He's an incredible nickel player, but he's an incredible jack of all trades. You're talking about a guy who hits like a truck. He's not old either. We're talking about a guy who's 27 years of age.
And he's a face. He can be a face of your defense. I mean, he's the kind of guy that can set the level for your defense. And yes, you mentioned it with the Eagles. So let's set the timeline real quick. You mentioned it, but I want to say it specifically. The Eagles were the 1 seed in the NFC on a blazing trail to the Super Bowl where they lost to the Chiefs with CJ Gardner Johnson. The next season he goes to Detroit. Detroit's in the NFC Championship. The Eagles were a catastrophe, fell apart after a 10-1 start without CJ Gardner Johnson. And specific to that was their defense, which ended up being ranked 30th before they get Gardner Johnson back. Obviously, Vic Fangio, a big part of that. And they are the number 1 ranked defense on the way to winning the Super Bowl with CJ Gardner Johnson. So all on him, no, but big piece, absolutely.
The guy's a big playmaker. He's got 18 career interceptions. He's got an interception return for a touchdown. He's got a fumble recovery in his career. He's got 22 TFLs, 15 hits on the quarterback. As I said, Philly, he was there in 24. They won the Super Bowl. He was in 23. He was in Detroit. They went to the NFC Championship game. In 22, he was in Philly. They won the Super Bowl. Or they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He
is a difference maker.
Good years in New Orleans to start his career, and
they loved him in New Orleans. They did. I have cousins in New Orleans.
He's played everywhere too. He's played linebacker with the Saints. He's played free safety. He's played strong safety. He's played the nickel. He can play the corner. He's a good enough cover guy to play the corner. He's a good enough hitter and violent enough player to play linebacker. To me, this is a guy I would definitely go after. This guy. He's 28. This is his age 28 season.
And the Eagles' big hole is Gardner Johnson. And by the way, the lineman that they traded for with the Texans that was supposed to replace Mekhi Becton, they cut him.
Yeah.
So that worked. That was a disaster. So Howie's definitely looking at this like maybe this is my chance to make good on that. And maybe we just get him back because CB2, cornerback 2, is still the biggest question mark for the Eagles.
Supposedly he's going to Kansas City, according to James Foster.
Although, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Marcus Peters, Larry. And remember that Marcus Peters
out of control in that way.
Yes. He got in again. He walked himself right out of Kansas City. So I don't know that Andy is looking for that again. And Marcus Peters had tremendous stops in Baltimore and the Rams after that. And he is a huge difference maker, but the kind of guy that could be someone from a locker room
That was
standpoint.
James Foster saying that's just his opinion.
Okay.
That's his opinion.
I don't know that Kansas City would do that.
So there you go.
That's a big one though. That's a huge. He will be a difference maker. We saw Detroit defensively last night. They could also sniff at it.
Yeah, that was a pretty good game last night, by the way. Detroit beat the Ravens in Baltimore. And
did it finish with 5 or 6 sacks on Lamar in the end, Larry? That was impressive.
I mean, the Ravens are a bully. The Ravens are a bully team. If they can get up on you big, then they can just tee off on you and that kind of thing. But if you stare them in the eye and fight them, they're totally beatable. I mean, they're a beatable team. Lamar is not a great pocket passer. Their receiver, Zay Flowers, did nothing. By the way, I'm the only 3-0 member of the KMBR Fantasy League.
Congratulations! I got off to a brutal start. So what did you pull away last night?
So I had an 18-point lead going into last night. He had the kicker and Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers did absolutely nothing.
0 targets first half, Zay Flowers, which is wild. Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching that and you're down to me, you're like, oh, I'm down by 12 points. All I got to do is Zay Flowers. It was unbelievable. I wind up winning, so I'm 3-0. I'm the lone 3-0 team in the KMBR Fantasy League, and I had a D- for my draft.
I love
D-.
that. Way to show him, Larry.
My quarterback this week was Mac Jones. I have Malik Neighbors, Tet McMillan, Omarion Hampton, Krosky Merritt, Tyler Warren, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cam Dicker, the kicker.
Kicker.
I got to say, I got to give myself credit this week. I picked up Tampa's defense against the Jets. Wow. They scored 14 points, and I won by 12. So that was
That's a big one. And by the way, Krosky Merritt, big things ahead for him. Obviously with Robinson traded and Eckler out, there could be more for him on the horizon. So you could be looking at even more. That's a strong team, and not on paper, Larry. You're right. That still doesn't sound right. That doesn't jump off the page. Those names don't jump off the page. Yeah.
And my bench does absolutely nothing. My bench is Brian Robinson, Purdy, Harold Fannin, Kyle Monangi, DJ Giddens, and Jordan Addison on suspension.
I knew you'd pick up Monangai. I knew you were excited in the waiver wire for Monangai. I knew you'd be following Monangai.
Unfortunately, I dumped Luther Burden to get him, and Luther Burden went off. But I have Jackson Smith-Njigba and Malik Neighbors, so I really don't really.
No, you're set. You're set. That's a good keeper team, by the way. I'm sure it's not a keeper league, Larry. That's a good keeper team, though. You'd have some big decisions at the end of the season for that one. All right. So wait, do you want to transition from your 3-0 to 3-0 in this league? Because there's a wild swath between the 3-0 teams.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to get into. We're going to get into some Bosa destinations. We wanted to go with some headlines. We started with Russell. We went with CJ Gardner Johnson. We're going to get into Bosa and where he could go. But let's get into the 6 3-0 teams. And who you think the best are of them, and who's got the, who's sitting who looks the best at 3-0. And I'm going to surprise you on this one. I think it's actually the Niners. I
You
know
think
a
the
lot
Niners are best? Okay, I love
I
that.
think
Well,
they
here,
I think
let
they
me.
are.
If you
I
put this
really
up, we
do.
can look at. I got all the schedules here for the teams. I think I'm going to just click here. I think the Niners are this one. If you put it up right now, if you want to take a look.
I don't know that they're the best team. I just think that they're sitting the best when you look at
Well, yeah, if you
where
look at
they're
the
at.
rest, yeah,
A lot of people are
surprising.
going, "Oh my God, that's crazy! That's a hometown thing." But here are the 6-0 football teams. The 6-0 teams right
If you want to click
now.
through, Larry, if you want to go to if you want to put this on the screen, if you can, I can click through the schedules real quick and we can just say them real quick. We can just say all of them.
Well, we don't need to read everybody's schedule. I
No,
mean,
no, okay. So that's fine. So go through it.
we
So
don't.
go
I
through
mean,
it.
the schedule. I mean, we did that exercise already.
We've done it.
Let's just go through who are these teams. Okay,
So Niners, you mentioned, yeah.
it's in the AFC. It's Buffalo, right? They're 3-0. There's the Indianapolis Colts. The surprise Colts are 3-0, and they
Chargers.
have a plus 47 point differential, which is amazing. Then you got the Chargers at 3-0. So you got three teams in the AFC. Chargers, Colts, and Bills are 3-0. In the NFC, it's Eagles, Buccaneers, and Niners, and that's it. Everybody else has a loss. So you have three in each conference. Let's go through these teams. Why don't we start with Buffalo? They're 3-0.
Okay. Let's stick with the AFC. Let's do it AFC, NFC. So look at the 3-0 in the AFC. Tell me what you think.
They've won 3 in a row, obviously, to start the year. They're plus 31 in point differential. They've played 2 games at home, 1 game on the road. They're 2-0 inside the division. They're 3-0 inside the conference. They've got Josh Allen, and he's obviously on the very much the top of his game. I think the big surprise early in the year has just been that coming into week 3, they were leading the NFL in rushing attempts. So they've been running the ball a lot.
But when you have a quarterback that runs also, Larry, that Baltimore tends to do that also. When you have a quarterback who is running, I mean, think about the MVP and Josh Allen, what he does with his legs. In fact, it's one of my biggest gripes in this league is the default statistics for quarterback need to change officially, Larry. I don't need completions and attempts and passing yards and interceptions thrown and touchdowns thrown, considering what every one of these quarterbacks, the elite quarterbacks in this league, if you don't tell me what they did with their legs, you're not giving me the story. The elite quarterbacks in this league are rushing for key yards, are rushing for touchdowns, and are doing things. And it's not about completions and attempts anymore. That's an irrelevant stat. Over the course of a season, completion percentage matters. Within a game, it doesn't. So that doesn't surprise me that Josh Allen, and especially because James Cook is having a special season also. They look very well rounded. The Bills look good, but the greatest thing the Bills have done to this point is really come back against Baltimore. I mean, that's a game where they're getting smashed again, and they find a way to rip that win away from Baltimore in week 1. And that's the most impressive thing they've done by far.
I mean, here's the thing about Buffalo. Josh Allen's great, and he had an awesome rushing week 1, 14 carries, a couple rushing touchdowns. But once again, it's like there's something about the Bills that just is not prime time.
Interesting you'd say that. Interesting. Tell me why.
Okay. Their weapons always go their weapons evaporate.
You're talking receivers, really. I mean, since Diggs left.
James Cook's okay, but James Cook's no awesome. He's not. I mean, I don't even think he's the best running back in his own family. I think Dalvin Cook was probably the better Cook.
He was,
Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, they're all right. The receivers, Keon Coleman, he's okay. Khalil Shakir is all right. Josh Palmer, Dalton Kincaid.
They get a lot out of Kincaid.
Okay.
They have two. They really have 2 tight ends.
There's
that they like to use.
There's not one weapon there that they have that you're just like, oh shit, oh no. There's no Jerry Rice. There's no Terrell Owens. There's no Randy Moss. There's no. You gotta be kidding me. There's no weapon there that makes you go, oh, it is going to be an all-day mother. You know, I mean,
except at the most important position. Position.
James Cook, but I mean, James Cook. If we went back to his game log from 2024, which is
last season was not amazing, and he was in a big contract dispute this offseason, and there was a lot of talk about maybe not needing to pay him.
He had 120 yards in the playoffs against Denver, and other than that, he had 100 against New England, 105 against Detroit, 107 against the Niners in the snow, and 111 against Seattle. So, I mean, he ran for just over 1,000 yards.
Which is nothing in this league now.
4.9 a carry is pretty damn good. So that's good. And he's a good receiver. He caught 32 balls. I just think he's all right. He's all right. I mean, I like him. I mean, I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm just saying he's not. That's not Emmitt Smith. I mean, they don't.
But one thing you have to
Josh
give the
Allen
Bills
doesn't have transcendent weapons. He has just guys. Almost every team that he's going to go up against is going to go up against him with better weapons than he has. So it's like, can he elevate just an average group of weapons?
But here's the difference. But wait, let me point out one team that's the big difference. Okay. So when we talk about these 3-0 teams, I think it's important to remember the division that they play in. And let's look at the weapons on the other teams in the division, ironically enough. So they gave away their biggest weapon in the wide receiver room is now in New England. No, think about it. Just think about it. The weapons, right? So New England, Travion Henderson, everyone's excited about, right? Oh my God, Ramondre Stevenson, their running game is going to be amazing. They got Stephon Diggs. Maybe this is going to be something. They're terrible right now to start the season, and we thought Drake May was on the rise, and right now we don't know what to think of the Patriots with Vrabel. It hasn't been there. Weapons in New York, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, we're all excited about what's happening there with the Jets' weapons. Look at that.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Sam. Those teams aren't the Bills are going to the playoffs. The problem is they don't win in the playoffs.
But
they're usually don't. It's usually the Josh Allen show all by his lonesome. His weapons evaporate, and his defense is totally average. Their defense, after they wind up losing a guy or two, just becomes totally nothing. I mean, these are their best defensive players: Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, older Joey Bosa, maybe Taylor Rapp, Christian Benford.
And the name value, right? And DeMar Hamlin, but he's more of a special teamer at this point.
I'm just saying this is not an epic. This Bills team is not great defensively. There's not great offensive weapons. It gets to the playoffs and it becomes, all right, Josh, put us on your shoulders and make it all happen. And to me, they look pretty much the same. Maybe a little bit better because the weapons have now, kind of are a little bit more seasoned. They're not all super young. They're kind of more in their prime. But I don't see. I mean, it's a one running back type team. I like Ray Davis, but
no, they don't have a committee. Not really. They don't. When you saw what happened on Monday Night Football last night,
number one receiver is who?
It's Keon Coleman probably, right? Yeah. Which is terrifying. I mean, that's not special. It's not. But
he's not. He doesn't separate.
What's the best news? What's the best news for the Bills at 3-0 right now? This week, the Ravens and the Chiefs play each other, and one of those teams is going to be 1-3.
Yeah, that's the best news for the Bills. The best news is that they have a ridiculously one-sided home field, and if they can get that home field, the road goes through Buffalo.
And their division has already laid down. Their division has already go through their division. It's already laid down.
Yeah.
We're 3 weeks in.
I don't see them. They weren't good enough last year, and that was the MVP of the league. And this year, you're saying not good enough. I just want to at least give them the credit for this. They did beat Lamar. This is not like the Niners situation. This team is full strength. The team that you're looking at is their team. They're not waiting for anybody to come off the injured list. There is no receiver that's their number one guy that's way better than Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman. This is what they got. And I think Josh Allen's awesome, but man, I don't think there's any team in football that leans more on their quarterback than the Buffalo Bills.
I would certainly, as an Eagles fan, I understand how important it is to have other options if you want to really be special. And Josh Allen, is really doing that
great
on his own. Yeah. Josh Allen's doing it, and it is on him. Now, granted, it's been enough, and I just at least want to give credit to the idea that they were in the AFC Championship. Maybe if they get a different spot on a 4th and 1, things are different. Maybe. He certainly made the biggest play of the regular season matchup against the Chiefs last season, and they beat Lamar in a game in which, and they beat Lamar by making Lamar turn the ball over. They obviously got the Andrews fumble. I mean, they made big plays in that game against Baltimore, and they got the AFC Championship. Granted, same kryptonite every time for them, but I'm not going to say that's a nothing season.
No, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that they look kind of like they've looked in the past.
I'll give you that. I'm not seeing
which
a
is
big
it's like
difference here.
it's a lot on Josh to just kind of make it happen.
Yes.
And he's great. I mean, he's really great. The question is, do you think this is the year he puts it all on his back and says, you know what, I got this. And one of these years, I mean, he's gonna win a Super Bowl at some
Maybe,
point.
maybe, maybe. I mean, Mahomes. Look. Jordan didn't allow other guys to win championships. Mahomes could very much be that guy in the AFC. Very much. He could be that guy that just keeps Baltimore and Buffalo, Lamar and Josh Allen without that ring. That could happen.
So I was looking up the team stats on defense, and it's hard in the first 3 weeks of the year. It's kind of difficult.
Even just go to week 1. I mean, obviously Baltimore did whatever they wanted for 3 3/4 of the game.
Yeah. I mean, they did what they wanted to do. Let's see defense as far as scoring. Who are the best defenses right now as far as scoring?
I have to imagine defensively the Chargers are significant. I mean, first of all, with my eyes, the best defense I've seen. I feel like the Chargers are the best defense I've been looking at week in and week out.
For some reason, I can't get the stats to come up here today. For some reason,
Let me get some.
Who are the top defensive?
Not
teams
Denver. We thought so coming in. It was Denver and Philly.
Not
right.
yards in points.
Okay.
Who are the top defensive teams in points right now? It's 49ers are probably number one.
Rams were pretty good. They were.
The Niners have got to be high because they were not allowing very many points.
All right, so let's go here on teams. It's been, teams. Like I said, Denver obviously has not been. Denver was special last season and clearly not this season.
It's funny, ESPN will give you the stats, but when you click on their team stats, it's like, oops, something went wrong.
I'll get out of here.
That's what it says. Something went wrong.
That's funny.
That's all I'm getting.
So here we go. So we're gonna go on defense here. So far you want to know
tell you
points?
Are you going points? And you gave all your money to Stephen A. Smith and fired all the talented people. That's what went wrong. Something went wrong. That's what went wrong right there, ESPN.
So you want to go points here, right? Scoring. All right. So
yeah, where does Buffalo sit after 3 weeks in points allowed per game?
So let's see here. Scoring. All right, there it is. That can't be right. I mean, actually, Niners look like they're on top of this with scoring. And with the Bears, wow, the Bengals, which never happens, are on that list. Oh, actually, this says Bills are 4th in scoring defense, but let me find out because the stats I'm looking at aren't great. This is about whether they've scored points. No, that's incorrect. I just want overall defense.
The other issue they're saying the Bills have is getting off the field.
Yes.
They're struggling. Third downs were an issue against the Dolphins. Dolphins converted 10 of 15 third down attempts. Bills also have given up 5 touchdowns in the red zone this year. Milano and Ed Oliver have been injured. I guess that's been a big part of it.
Yeah, that certainly plays a factor. But yes, they have not been. I mean, again, even just roster-wise, you said it. They don't have the players on defense that are scaring the rest of the league. And as you said, the Bosa they have is the other one. And he's not, at this point, a wrecker the way he used to be. So that's not it at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, Buffalo's good, but it's all about Josh Allen. Josh Allen. And I get it. Josh Allen's great. But, man, it's like the guys you throw to, the guys you hand it to, your defense. I mean, it matters a lot. So that's my one thought on them. Let's go to Indianapolis for a second.
Colts are pretty special. I mean, this has been a pretty amazing start for them. Obviously, I mean, if you look at the teams they've beaten, it's not really interesting, especially considering we don't know what Denver is, and they could have lost that game on a really odd penalty. But Indy's playing above their head. They will. I'm sure they will. They are going to beat a team that we did not expect them to beat at all. That will happen. They look good enough to do that. And Jonathan Taylor is prime Jonathan Taylor right now also.
Yeah, I mean Indianapolis is off to a great start. They're 3-0. Daniel Jones is playing well. He's completing 71% of his passes. He's got 3 touchdowns, no picks. He's only been sacked twice. I mean, this is almost like an imposter. I mean, this is like, are you kidding me? That's not the Daniel Jones that we know. No interceptions. What?
That's crazy.
Daniel Jones. I mean, he's like the turnover machine.
Bills are 20th in points allowed defense, Larry.
20th in points.
20th.
Yeah,
Packers 1, Seahawks 2, Niners 3.
It's who's won?
1 is the Packers.
Wow. So I mean, I've got questions about Buffalo's defense. I got questions about Buffalo's weapons. Okay, so that's them. As far as Indianapolis goes, they look really good.
10th points allowed. Just to say it, Indy 10th points allowed.
Yeah, I mean, but they've got Jonathan Taylor, who's averaging over 5 yards a carry. He's already got 3 rushing touchdowns. Daniel Jones can run, and then they added Tyler Warren. He's clearly one of the best tight ends in football immediately. I mean, how the Bears took Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren is just befuddling. They don't have great receivers. I mean, Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs.
Baruch Adonai Mitchell. Yes, on Rosh Hashanah, I got to say it. But yeah, Baruch Adonai Mitchell has been okay. And then the guy that they thought was going to be their one has really been average.
Who, Michael Pittman?
Yeah, Pittman is just, I mean, it just hasn't happened the way that we wanted it to. And certainly for those that have him on their fantasy team, they know that it's not happening the way that we, expected it to. So they don't, I would say Warren has a chance to be their most special pass catcher.
They do have 7 sacks, and they got,
like I said, 10th in points allowed defensively. I didn't know that. They also started the game against Cam Ward with a pick 6. That's nice.
17 TFLs. That's a lot. And they've already got four interceptions. So defensively, and this isn't this the former Bengals defensive coordinator that moved over here?
Oh, right. Yes. Let me get it up here.
So he's a pretty good coach, and they've got some decent talent on defense. Nick Cross from Maryland's a hell of a player. DeForest Buckner, Cam Bynum, Kenny Moore.
Yeah, Anarumo.
Yeah, Lou Anarumo's there. Yeah. You got Mooney Ward. You got Samson Ebukam. You got some Liatu Latu, the former UCLA Bruin, first-round pick. Kwity Paye, first-round pick. I mean, they've got some guys. It's not like they don't have anything. But, I mean, I would imagine they're coming back to earth.
Well, here's the game. Again, this week, Larry, we get to see it. They're at the Rams. I mean, this is the Rams are coming off a brutal loss. Where it's a team that they just can't stand in the Eagles. And the way it ended, of course, with the 2 blocked kicks, the return from Jordan Davis. I mean, the Rams at home are going to be absolutely primed and on every detail against the Colts. This is going to be a humongous test for the Colts.
So then there's the Colts. Then you got, and the Colts, the Colts are an interesting team because nobody expected them. In the ESPN Power Rankings, they have Indianapolis checking in at 12, right behind the Niners. And they say their big issue is their hit and miss pass rush. Wow. They had 4 sacks against Tennessee, but there's also a bunch of plays where the quarterback sits there and they've got all day. They're 20th in pressure rate. Latu, is probably their best rusher. His overall pressure rate of 11.4% is good. It will need to improve if the Colts are going to consistently threaten quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, the book on them is that their pass rush is a little bit of hit and miss.
But here's the good
also
news.
have one of the more potent offenses in the NFL. I mean, right now, their offense, they're scoring at a high rate. They look really good offensively. They got a they got a back, they got a quarterback.
They remind me of the Chiefs with Alex Smith. That's what they remind me of. They remind me of the Chiefs with Alex Smith, where, I'm pretty confident in the quarterback, but it's also some of what they're doing defensively and some of what they're doing around him. The Colts, this Rams game is going to tell us a lot, but here's the good news for Colts fans. The division, based on the way Houston has just thrown up all over themselves to start the season, the division is right there. Nobody's worried about Tennessee. Jacksonville, we just don't know, and no one's high on Trevor Lawrence at the moment, and they've looked awful. And Travis, by the way, we'll get into this, but Travis Hunter, to me, I don't even understand. What is happening there?
In what way? He's playing tons of plays.
But there's just not, that impact hasn't quite been there. Look, Jacksonville's okay.
Trevor Lawrence isn't very good.
He's really not. Something is up with Trevor Lawrence. And I don't know if Urban Meyer just took it all out of him or what, but that is rough.
Just in Liam Cohn's, you get the feeling that there's not a lot of trust there between the two of them. You saw Cohen yelling at him, and you saw, Trevor Lawrence kind of sloughing him off. I mean, that's never good. So
No.
they get the Niners this week. So those are the 2-2-0 team, 3-0 teams. Now you get the Chargers.
Chargers, what a story the Chargers are. I mean, if this is college football, the Chargers have the best 3 wins. Overall,
Chargers look the best. I mean, I
they're
think
3-0 in their division, 3 divisional wins to start the season,
Yeah.
including Kansas City in a neutral site.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City doesn't have any kind of a rushing attack. That's their problem. But the Chargers' early surprise is that Quentin Johnston has emerged.
It's for real.
He's stepped up. They lose Najee Harris though for the year.
But maybe this is the Omarion Hampton, right? I mean, and they lost Dobbins last year. I mean, the Chargers, Harbaugh, if he does anything well, it's he finds guys to run the ball, and I think they're going to lean on Hampton here.
Also, I think their defensive coordinator is probably the hottest head coaching candidate in the league right now. Jesse Minter came with Harbaugh from Michigan, and their defense has been awesome. I mean, they struggled on 4th down stops. Opponents are converting 71% of 4th downs, which ranks them 22nd in the NFL. And I guess Denver, burned them on 4th down.
The biggest play of that game was 4th and 2 before halftime, and Denver hit a huge shot down the field to Sutton, and that changed the game. But they came back and won.
4th and 1 right before halftime. Chargers are 3-0 and look really good, and they can run the ball.
3-0 again, but Larry, you got to say,
in that division, they lost Rashawn Slater, so that's a killer.
But 3-0 with a Kansas City and Denver win under your belt is that's the schedule giving it to you with those games early. But that is absolutely, you're 2.5 up Kansas City. That's wild. So that is special.
Chargers are good. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's a great coach. Herbert is looking I don't think Herbert's ever looked any better.
And again, this was supposed to be a run-first offense. They're throwing the ball, Larry. They're throwing the ball. They are
6
putting it on Herbert.
6 touchdowns and 1 pick for Herbert. You got Hampton running the rock, and they had Najee. Now it's just Hampton. But their receivers are much improved from last year.
How about Keenan Allen? Does Keenan Allen looks like he never left the Chargers? Yeah.
Keenan Allen's got 3 touchdowns. Looks great. Niners should have listened to Damon. He was saying, "Go for Keenan Allen. Go for Keenan Allen."
We were laughing, but it's true.
Lad McConkey is obviously good. Aronde Gadsden, their tight end's been inactive because they're using the other guys. But they have Trey Harris.
Yeah, and Gadsden, by the way, was in this last game. He played well. Gadsden had a couple of big catches. Yeah.
And defensively, Derwin James, Deion Henley, they got some good defensive players. They really do. Cam Hart, I think, is a pretty good corner. They've got some guys. Marlo Wax was
the guy. That was the guy that the Niners gave a job on the team. Remember? He was awesome in the preseason game against the Niners. Yeah.
He looked great. So they look good. I would say the Chargers, to me, if they hadn't lost Rashawn Slater, I would really love the Chargers. But the Chargers were my pick for the Super Bowl. I've got a Niners-Chargers Super Bowl 60.
Can't be better than that right now, Larry. Can't be better than that.
That's what I'm going with. Who did you go with at the beginning of the year?
So I actually didn't even make the prediction. I said Bills were going to win it. I said this was sort of the over the hump, even though I just told you that maybe it won't happen. But right now that looks good. And I didn't really pick in the, right now I could tell you that I said it was the Eagles. I didn't. I thought the Eagles were going to suffer with the CJ Gardner Johnson thing. But I would say the NFC is still very much up in the air. I really think this week's game with Tampa and the Eagles is going to tell us a ton. And that's, talking about undefeated teams going against each other. And Tampa has sort of been, Todd Bowles has been a little bit of the Eagles' kryptonite. And although I want to remind people that they lost those games without A.J. Brown. The Eagles have looked terrible against the Bucs in games that A.J. Brown did not play in. And when he has been there, they've looked very good. So I don't want to call that match just yet. But I guess, why wouldn't I just say the Eagles are the defending champs and they're 3-0 at this point? I'll say Eagles and Bills.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about the Eagles is I think the Eagles do have a real issue that's starting to show up. They're last in the NFL with a 45.1 success rate against the run this season. They're not stopping the run. They're yielding a first down or a touchdown on over 34% of their opponents' rush attempts. That's also the lowest number in the league. They're 25th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed at 133.3.
Although I want to point something out, Larry. I want to point something out. So the most celebrated player on defense for the Eagles this week was who? Jordan Davis, right? He blocks the kick, runs it back.
Right.
Like that's right. Okay. So now Jordan Davis is the run stuffer, right? But remember that week 1, this is a 3-game sample size that you're getting those numbers from. Jalen Carter doesn't play week 1. That changes Jordan Davis's life the most on that defensive line. So Javonte Williams had an amazing game against them in that week 1 for the Cowboys. He's in the end zone twice, and he looks like the Javonte Williams who you didn't believe in, right? Because 2 years ago, this guy had a devastating injury. But that game skews the numbers to me. I with Jalen Carter and without is a big difference, and it's a big difference for Jordan Davis because he has to play such a different game without Carter next to him. So I just want to preface that.
I mean, I think one of the questions for the Eagles coming into week 3 was where the hell is A.J. Brown? And then coming out of week 3, they targeted him 10 times. He caught 6 for 109 and a touchdown, and now nobody's saying that.
And again, Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, this is the Rams saying Jalen Hurts beat us. We're not going to allow Saquon to run for 2 60-yard touchdowns for a third straight game against us. So they put everything on that.
Yeah, Saquon averaged 2.6 a carry.
He did nothing, although if you look at their game-winning touchdown drive, Saquon had a humongous third down run, only 3 yards, but a spin move. I mean, it was completely bottled up, and he gained the yardage to put them in position for that winning touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. But Saquon, again, the fear of what Saquon can do, especially for a team like the Rams, who yielded 200 yards twice to him last season, it was almost the fear of Saquon that made the difference in that game. And the second half, obviously, Jalen Hurts said, all right, we'll put it on me, and he did it.
Run D is a big thing, though. If you can't stop the run, you can't win. I mean,
and they did last season.
5.4 a carry is what they gave up to Dallas in week 1. 5 yards a carry is what they gave up last week. 4.7 a carry is what they gave up to Kansas City.
And Mahomes was a lot of that. Mahomes ran against them.
Mahomes had 66 yards. Yep. He had a 22-yard run. But Kansas City can't run. Kansas City doesn't have much of a rushing attack. Kareem Hunt's done. Pacheco doesn't look good. Yes. They're not running it well, but they ran it well in that game. So I would say that's a major.
It's a problem. But the Eagles were worse defensively through 4 games last season. Remember, after the bye week, Cooper DeJean gets inserted. Vic Fangio figures it out, and they're a totally different team. Maybe we see something. They're not going to have an early bye like that, but maybe we see something defensively from them. And again, great test here. Tampa can run the ball very well. Baker is a mobile quarterback. This will present the same issues for them. Bucky Irving has been good. So has White. And we know Baker Mayfield's got the 2 biggest runs of the Bucs season so far. So this is going to be a major test for them.
No question. So the Eagles, I think, until you beat the champ, they're on top.
And they beat, they beat Kansas City and the 2-0 Rams in a game where they absolutely should have lost.
And they came back against the Rams to win that one. And they played mistake-free football down the stretch. And they're 2-0 at home. They've played 2 at home. They're 2-0 in the conference. All right, so then you've got the 3-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is one of the more interesting teams as well from the standpoint of the Buccaneers have won 2 on the road, so they've only played 1 home game. By the way, they brought back Desmond Watson today, the 400-pound defensive tackle who I said would be the anti-tush push. Do you think they brought him back to play him against the Eagles?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think he was there for that reason. It's a great move.
I think it's smart. Now, Mike Evans is hurt. At least he was hurt at the end of last week. He's going to miss.
Ibuka's going to have a big game against the Eagles. Ibuka's going to have a big game against the Eagles.
Emeka Egbuka, who they took 19th overall in the first round, has been a revelation.
Well, he was one of your favorites coming out of the draft. I mean, he was as far as like slot in and know that this guy's going to make plays as a rookie. Ibuka was number 1 on the receiver list for that.
They always seem like they get off to a hot start. They've started hot under Todd Bowles the last few years. Tampa has. So we're going to find out exactly, what they got and how good they are. But I think they're an interesting football team. They're a very complete team. Now, they've lost Kalijah Cansey. And their biggest issue, I guess they're saying, is fourth quarter stops. They've got a plus 6-point differential this season, tied for the lowest by a 3-0 team in NFL history, by the way.
They also set history with the 3 walk-off wins. So when we talk about teams that are 3-0 that could be 0-3, the Bucs, if you take away the last 90 seconds of every game, are 0-3. Now, granted, what you do in the last 90 seconds absolutely counts and is incredibly impressive. And absolutely, Baker Mayfield he's got 24 come from behind wins in the fourth quarter or overtime. He leads all quarterbacks in that category over the last 3 seasons. The Bucs are also the only NFC team to be in the playoffs 5 straight seasons. Todd Bowles has done a remarkable job, but they absolutely could have lost to Houston and absolutely should not have, but were in position to lose that game against the Jets with that kick return. I mean, that was an unbelievable blocked kick. The way McDonald jumped over the line.
I mean, they gave up
the Jets.
two fourth quarter touchdowns on defense against the
disgusting.
Jets.
It was disgusting.
They've given up 5.8 yards per play, 5th most in the NFL in the fourth quarter. So they're struggling late in games, which might be their conditioning. Could be their conditioning is not great. But they've also lost Kalijah Cansey, Luke Kadecki, Tristan Wirfs. I mean, they've lost.
The Wirfs thing is really going to end up being the biggest difference, and they could get him back. So that's going to be nice. And we haven't said it. I mean, Godwin, the Evans thing is sort of timing-wise not terrible because Godwin could be coming back. I think the Bucs, again, because of their division, are also in a good spot. And Atlanta was their kryptonite last season. And Koo, the last kick that Koo had as an NFL player to this point was the miss where he would have tied that game week 1 against the Bucs for Atlanta. So that was a dogfight, and they won. They found a way to win that game, which last year they had lost. So Tampa looks great. I'm fascinated by Tampa, and I think this weekend's going to be spectacular to see them against the Eagles.
All right, that leads us to the 49ers.
Oh, man, a lot of meat on
this. The Niners
bone.
are 3-0, and as we know, 2 of those games are with Mac Jones. So awesome. The Niners have now granted, it was the Niners have a very favorable schedule. They had New Orleans in New Orleans. But they beat a Seattle team in week 1 that I think people think more highly of today than they did before.
Definitely what they did.
Brock Purdy played 1 game. He completed 74%. Mac Jones has played 2 games. He's completing 66%. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick for Mac, 2 and 2 for Purdy. They've been sacked a combined 5 times. But the Niners have not run the ball well. McCaffrey's averaging 3-4 a carry.
Well, it's the catches, the receptions. It's the receptions for McCaffrey that's making the difference.
Yeah, but I mean, the Niners are averaging 3-3 a carry. They're not running the ball well, and yet they're 3-0. So, do you think that they're not running the ball well because they're not going to run the ball well? I mean, also they've done this without Kittle, no Debo, no Ayuk.
This is because of the injuries in exactly that place, Larry.
But I mean,
when
Ricky
you know
Pearsall
that they don't
have stepped up, JJ has stepped up.
Exactly. But I mean, Juwan Jennings then missing a game. So now Pearsall, it's just, I don't think anyone's fearing the Niners from a passing standpoint. And granted, Mac Jones proved them wrong against the Saints, but teams are going to say, all right, we're going to let Mac Jones and Ricky Pearsall beat us as opposed to Christian McCaffrey. That's a fine philosophy coming into a game with them. What's interesting about the Niners is we've got week 5 and week 6. So obviously Jacksonville at home feels like something you're going to be able to get over no matter who's at quarterback. But at Rams, at Bucs, back-to-back weeks, that's going to make a pretty big difference here. And granted, it's a Thursday and a Sunday, so you're going to have a nice stretch between the Rams game and the Bucs game, so you're going to be well rested. But those 2 games are going to tell you. I mean, if we're looking at power rankings or deciding which 3-0 teams are really absolutely going to be there in the end, those games against the Rams and Bucs are going to make a big difference. Again, if this was college football and we're trying to rank people, those are the wins that are going to weight heavily against what we really know about the Niners.
See, I have the Niners as the best 3-0 team from the standpoint of look at what their record is and look what they have coming back. There's no team on this list that has anywhere close to as much talent returning, and that's not out there as the San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle's a Hall of Famer. Brandon Ayuk's a near Pro Bowl receiver.
He's a Pro Bowler.
They've got some players coming back here, and defensively, I think they're better than people think. So that's why I had the Niners as my top team. Let's finish on this note.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa is out for the year. If you could replace Nick Bosa, either through a free agency, a trade, or a practice squad guy, do you have a couple guys out there that you would say, you know what, I'd go for that guy? I was talking to Papa the other day, and he's like, they ought to trade for Trey Hendrickson, and that's obviously a very
massive one,
It's a massive one, absolute massive one. But give me a player or two, and I'll give you a player or two
Okay.
that you would that the Niners ought to go after in your mind.
Well,
To
I always
replace
say
Bosa.
it, and I I keep falling in love with this guy, even though he just can't stay healthy. I used to love the idea of Chase Young, and I just think that's probably at this point it's probably done. I don't think there's much
He
on that
dogged it
bone.
here. I don't think he's coming
I
back.
know. You're right, and so I don't necessarily think that he's coming back. I don't think anyone's going to give you their number one. I mean, like the Dolphins, could Chubb be somebody?
Yeah, Bradley Chubb.
Right? I mean, is
Yeah,
that? I mean,
I
maybe
think
for a
that's an
team that's
interesting one.
going nowhere, right? I mean, that would
Yeah,
be a
that's a good
great
name.
one.
That's a good
And
name.
Salah's got familiarity there in the AFC East, so I think Chubb would make a huge difference for this team.
I'll give you three names that I really like. One, the two Jets, Will McDonald the fourth out of Iowa State, and
Yep.
Michael Clemens. Michael Clemens is exactly the same size as Bosa. Will McDonald would give you that edge speed. The Jets are in a rebuild. They would probably take a late day 2 pick or maybe a high day 3
Right.
pick to give you those guys. If I were the Niners, that would be the first door I would knock on. I think that makes a lot of sense. Will McDonald would give you that speed that Bosa gave you, and Clemens would give you that run defender. And I think adding two players to replace Bosa is probably the smarter play
Yeah.
than one great player. I love Trey Hendrickson, and I love Trayvon Walker, and I love Kayvon Thibodeau. If I could get two players like Michael Clemens and Will McDonald from the Jets, I would go that direction. And then the guy that I would poach off the practice squad, I mean, I'm sure they will probably be interested in Cleveland Farrell because they've had him before. But I like Mo Kamara. He's on Tampa's practice squad. He played at Colorado State. He was drafted by the Dolphins. He's short. He's 6'1" and change, about 260 pounds. But he is a tremendous edge rusher. And, I really liked him at Colorado State. I think he would be an ideal fit in this wide nine opposite Bryce Huff. So those would be my three names. Mo Kamara off the practice squad of Tampa Bay, which you'd have to give him an active roster spot, or some kind of a trade with the Jets for Michael Clemens and Will McDonald. Some combination of those three moves, I think, would be fine. I don't think the 49ers, I know it's crushing to lose Nick Bosa, and the idea is like, oh my God, we're never going to find anybody like Bosa. And you're not going to find anybody like Bosa. But in a lot of ways, Bosa was more than you needed. Do you need to have lunch? Yeah, but do you need an all you can eat buffet? No, not necessarily. You don't need the all you can eat buffet. You just need a sandwich. You know what I mean? And it's like I kind of feel like Bosa's the all you can eat buffet. He's the ultimate, but they just need someone to give them some heat off the edge opposite Bryce Huff. And I think there's guys out there that can find that can do that. Carl Granderson from the Saints would be nice. Trayvon Walker from Jacksonville would be nice. But there's a number of guys around the league that I think they could get to bolster their outside pass rush. And internally, they have Travis Gibson and Robert Beal Jr. So,
and again, does this really mean? I mean, is this now Huff's time to really shine? I mean, right? Does this become now? All right, Huff says, "Okay, I'm here for a reason. I was damn near this guy in New York. Obviously, the Philly thing is a terrible taste in his mouth, and now he's saying, okay, I can do this, and here's my chance to prove that you got me here for this. You got me here essentially for this, and now I'm ready to prove it. I think this is a big time. This is a big move for Huff. And frankly, Michael Williams, right? I mean, you want to be up for defensive rookie of the year. Here's your moment without Bosa. I mean, now everything the Niners do defensively the rest of the season is going to be considered okay. They did it without Bosa, so that's pretty special, and I see that. But again, I say go pilfer from Miami. Miami is a sinking ship, and I say you want to get Cincinnati. Their chance at winning this season without Burrow is their defense, and right now they're playing above their head defensively. I don't see the Hendrickson thing as anything realistic. Bradley Chubb is a solid name who's still got meat on the bone on a team that is absolutely going nowhere.
Maybe Jalen Phillips too. By the way, this conversation is brought to you by Habbas Law. Today's show is sponsored by Habbas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habbas and his son Tariq have been standing up for people right here in Northern California. They're relentless attorneys. They do not back down. They're official partners with the Giants, San Jose State, Santa Clara, the Earthquakes. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm. Insurance companies hope you don't. Habbas Law. They will fight to make it right. Visit HabbasLaw.com on the web, HABBAS Law.com. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. And thanks to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And we also should tell you that the 49er football season throughout the year is presented on the Krug Show by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news and real-time stats. That's right. Group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Sammy, I'll give you the final thought. Your best your of the 6-0 teams, your best 6-0 team is?
Of the 3-0 teams, the 6-3-0 teams that we have, I'm going to say, I mean, looking at what they have, actually, you know what? I was going to say, again, from a college football standpoint, I still think the Eagles have the two most impressive wins. Of all the three teams, I think the two most impressive wins from an opponent standpoint is the Eagles in beating Kansas City, who they had a rematch of the Super Bowl. Kansas City had everything to prove in that game, and the Eagles won that game and won it in a different fashion than they did the Super Bowl. And, I mean, beating the Cowboys without Jalen, but I won't even say the Cowboys. Beating the 2-0 Rams in a game they're down 26-7 to start the second half, essentially, that's an unbelievable win, the way they did it. So I don't want to be a homer, but I'm just looking at, if you take the three games, the Eagles have the two best wins.
To me, though, they also have a significant flaw that they really shouldn't have. And we'll see where it goes from here, because a lot of people thought A.J. Brown was a problem until last week. So we'll see where it goes. I would say the Eagles are the best team in football, but I would say the most impressive 3-0 team is the Chargers.
Yeah.
And the Niners, to me, are not are definitely a pleasant surprise, but I think they're well positioned at 3-0. Silences, will Purdy return with week 4? How much will the O improve? I think Purdy does try to come back. And the last one is Gabe Ski says, Larry, if you had to put your money on the table, should the Niners pull off a trade before the deadline, who would it be? Great show as usual with Sammy. I'm going to say yes. I think they will make a trade, and I'm going to go Michael Clemens and Will McDonald.
Nice.
And that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Sam. Thanks to all of you guys. Sammy, great to see you. We'll see you next week. Thanks to everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get